Logan, I wanted to kick off our conversation with something that I found really interesting in your profile and in the work that you're doing. And most often, what you really see there is you actually talk about this, statement that I'm going to tell you right now. It says the strategy and the idea fails not because of a bad strategy, but it's because of the leader's capacity of not being ready, right? And that's quite a hard statement. And why do you believe, sometimes leaders are not ready, and what makes them take up a few assignments where they probably are actually looking at themselves and not looking at their own capacity realistically?
Yeah, well, I think that there's obviously a couple dimensions to that I can touch on. But the first is that, yes, I think sometimes it's like going to a buffet when you're really hungry and you put a lot of things on your plate and then you realize you put too much on your plate and you can't eat it all. I used to do that as a kid at this buffet, local buffet. Yeah, so I think that it's natural for humans, well, most people want to take on more. They think they can take on more, and they just might not have a good sense of their own limitations or capacity. And so what we're diving into is the internal kind of configuration of an individual and a team. And you're limited by things like emotional resilience. Maybe you haven't built up good systems for yourself to handle stress, for instance. Um, you're limited by your team's ability to be motivated and feel psychologically safe. So maybe you have a manager that is toxic in some way, and it's causes this fight or flight within the team. Um, and you can also be limited by your ability to hold strategic concepts all at once and that's just could take practice. Sometimes people are just not naturally attuned to multidimensional thinking, or they've just been used to doing certain types of jobs and they don't really understand what it's going to take in terms of complexity. So I think we're just held back by some of these factors. And unfortunately, in most corporate environments or most roles, you don't really take the time to understand these things about yourself. And so I think it behooves managers, it behooves leaders to think more critically about these factors in weighing whether a team can execute, whether an individual can take on a role. So those are some of the things that we measure and think about all the time.